Apple added some Pro features to the medium-sized iPad, and now we need to take a look at who might benefit from upgrading to this tablet powerhouse. I'm Juan Carlos Bagnell for Pocketnow, and here's our review of the 9.7-inch iPad Pro. There's just not a lot of mystery in reviewing an iPad. After successive generations, years of refinement, and the addition of a new Pro lineup, these tablets are well understood. If you've ever held an iPad Air, the 9.7-inch Pro will feel familiar. This is an expertly manufactured slate which is shockingly light. Unlike the Big Brother Pro, the 9.7 seems like a handier companion for folks on the go. This screen a very happy balance between productivity and portability. Apple doesn't sell specs as much as they craft an experience. But quickly talking hardware, we do have a Retina display on the front face, resolution of 2048 by 1536, powered by an A9X processor and 2GB of RAM. We're reviewing the Wi-Fi only base model unit with 32GB of storage, which rings up for $599. And we'll also check out the Apple Pencil, which retails for $99. We've detailed the core iOS experience in previous videos, so we're really focusing more on what's new this year over the iPad Air and the larger Pro. While the design is nearly identical, the smaller Pro isn't just a recycle of the Air with stylus support. More powerful internals will always be appreciated, but the display is an obvious area where Apple made an effort to differentiate this tablet from previous offerings. This is a terrific LCD, great viewing angles, good outdoor readability, and excellent color saturation. New for this year, True Tone automatically adjusts the display color to account for light in your environment. This works surprisingly well, and it's a shock seeing the display with this feature disabled. I'm not sure how this will affect artists or folks who depend on professional-grade color accuracy, but it's a terrific feature for consuming content. Audio playback is similarly spruced up over the iPad Air. Moving from bottom-firing stereo speakers to the new quad speaker array, there's no orientation you can hold this tablet where you won't get solid audio reproduction. Improved over both the Air and the larger Pro, Apple includes the front and rear cameras found on the iPhone 6s. The rear camera offering 12 megapixel stills, UHD video recording in 240 frames per second slow motion. Tablets are ridiculous photography devices, but if you ever do need to shoot a photo or video from a slate, you might as well have the best camera that company has to offer, right? One minor gripe, the camera module does bulge from the rear casing, causing a bit of a wobble when the Pro is on a flat surface, but you'll probably be keeping this thing in some kind of case anyway.
The iPad Pro also inherits the FaceTime camera from the iPhone 6s, getting a bump up to 5 megapixels, but unfortunately video stays capped at 720p.
With a brighter screen and a more powerful processor, we're happy to see that battery life remains impressively long-lived. On a media test streaming 1 hour of HD video over Wi-Fi at 50% brightness, the Petite Pro drained 8% of its battery. This kind of playback will easily outlast Apple's estimate of 10 hours of use on Wi-Fi. Now, this battery is pretty big, but can be recharged from completely dead in around 3 hours. 1 hour on the included charger topped off 34%. We're not the first, nor will we be the last, to point out that for a company which has derided the stylus in the past, the Apple Pencil is a fluid and precise fine-point control for the iPad. I don't draw like I used to as a kid, and others will make far better use of this than I can, but this is a delightful tool to utilize. Is it worth $99 on top of the price of an iPad Pro? Only the individual shopping for one can answer that question. And our criticisms regarding storage still stand. It's the user's responsibility to find a solution for keeping track of it. And it looks a little silly charging from the Lightning port, but we can't fault the actual operation. As mentioned at the top of this video, a lot of this is well understood commentary when talking iPads. Apple is on a mission to convert more folks over to iOS, morphing this platform from iPhones and content consumption to creating content and getting work done. As this is only the second device in Apple's lineup to embrace this philosophy, we're still at the beginning stages of this experiment. We can't really find fault with the hardware, but software is where we witness some teething pains. iOS as an environment still doesn't quite lend itself to professional use. Happily, iOS supports multitasking split-screen apps, though the process of selecting 2 apps to have on screen requires a bit of hunting. The thing about professional computing, though, a major aspect of how pros work is in their ability to organize their own unique workflow. My PC is an absolute mess, but it's my mess. I know where everything is. iOS as a platform is a little more restrictive in how you can organize apps, files, and manage data moving between programs. So for this review, instead of just giving you a couple minutes of me holding the tablet and poking at it with a stylus, I wanted to see how far I could push this tablet. I produce YouTube videos for a living, so would I be able to produce an iPad Pro review on an iPad Pro? Starting with writing the script, absolutely a joy. This is an easy slate to use for writing. I live out of Microsoft Word, and while we don't have a Pro keyboard to review with this iPad, my little Bluetooth folding keyboard works great. That's easily covered. Recording the voiceover for this video while reading that script? Totally easy. I use a Sennheiser lavalier microphone which plugs directly into the iPad's lightning connector, and the VO for this review was all recorded from that setup in my office. The audio quality is great, but using the Apogee recording app created a little storage bucket which wouldn't share files with any other apps directly on the iPad. I couldn't import directly into iMovie, nor could I get GarageBand to find these audio files, so I had to upload them to a cloud location, then re-download them back into the project I was working on. This is obviously not ideal, but we were able to do it. Shooting on my Samsung mirrorless camera, transferring videos over Wi-Fi was simple enough, and iMovie was perfectly able to import those files. Unfortunately, there are no options for adding a soundtrack in addition to a voiceover track, so back we went to GarageBand to pre-mix the audio track, which was then re-imported into iMovie. Moving files around, importing clips, and cutting up sequences, we actually created a solid little timeline for what could have been this review. One minor gripe, the camera module does bulge from the rear casing, causing a bit of a wobble. But getting to the end of this process, iMovie has no options for rendering, only delivering a 30 frame per second 1080p, not a 60 frame per second video that these clips were shot in. There also doesn't seem to be a way to slap on a persistent watermark. Someone drop us a comment if there's a way to do this in iMovie, but we couldn't find one. And for all the work in putting this together, the last finishing touches for this review still had to be wrapped up on a proper computer. We got closer than I thought we'd be able to, and all I had to do was fundamentally change the way I organize files and the order in which I edit pieces together from my normal workflow. But that's where we keep ending up with mobile gear. Your mileage will certainly vary. Document management, for example, is terrific now. But the iPad Pro is honestly overkill for folks working in Word and Excel. Maybe art and graphics professionals can make it farther through their workflow, but I'm an audio and video producer, so that's the criteria by which I would judge a Pro product. And this slate would really benefit from a robust app version of Final Cut or Premiere, which more closely resembled desktop versions of those programs. So let's wrap this up. Where's that leave us with the iPad Pro 9.7? There are many folks out there criticizing the price as too high. Over the previous starting price for the iPad Air 2, I think we see enough improvements to warrant the higher cost. Storage increases, camera improvements, processor upgrades, screen improvements, better audio, and the same great battery life. Outfitting and accessorizing this tablet, though, brings us into laptop price territory, and this is where we're unsure if the iPad Pro can really satisfy the claims made by calling this a Pro product. To be sure, this is the nicest mobile processor tablet I've ever used. We've got the horsepower. We just need the apps now. And some improvements to aspects like file management and organization would certainly help improve the professional reputation for this product. Until then, the iPad Pro is still just going to be a companion device for our laptops and desktops. As always, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to this channel for more reviews like these, and hit that thumbs up button for a little extra positive reinforcement. For Pocketnow, I'm Juan Carlos Bagnell. You can chat me up on Twitter and Instagram as Some Gadget Guy, and I will catch you all on the next review. Audio playback is similarly spruced up over the iPad Air. Moving from bottom-firing stereo speakers to the new quad speaker array, there's no orientation you can hold this tablet where you won't get solid audio reproduction.